Hello there and a very good morning to you. Many thanks for joining us on Superscreen News at 10, broadcasting to you live from Lagos. I am Adinike Uweye Ajiboye. The Senate has confirmed the appointment of 3 members of the Board of Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. They are Chuka Nwawa, Oloki Oremisa, and Nwogo. The confirmation is based on the recommendation by the Committee in Niger Delta, whose report on the nominees was considered at the plenary on Thursday. The committee in the report recalled that it had disqualified 3 of the NDDC board members earlier nominated by President Muhammadu Buhari, which made the Senate to reject their appointment on October 6, 2017. The committee also recalled that President Buhari replaced the nominees in the confirmation request read in the chamber on April 11, 2017. Still staying with the Senate has suspended Senator Ovi Omo Agege for 90 legislative days after questioning the Senate on the Electoral Act amendment seeking to alter election sequence. This follows a presentation of a report by Senate Ethics Committee, which recommended that Omo Agege be suspended for 181 days. However, the Senate resolved to reduce the length of his suspension and asked him to withdraw the court case instituted against the Senate.
The committee is of the opinion that the action by Senator Ovi Omo Agege of going to court after apologizing to the Senate was totally unacceptable, especially as an experienced lawyer, a member of the committee who is conversant with the modus operandi of the same, and therefore must be punished to serve as a deterrent to others who might contemplate taking the Senate to court over its internal matters. Recommendation: having carefully and fully exhausted all sides to the matter and the inherent implications therefrom for today and the future of the National Assembly, the committee recommends as follows. 1. That the Senate Ovi Omo Agege be suspended for 181 legislative days from the date this resolution is taken.
The Senate also disbanded the parliamentary support group that Senator Omo Agege and embattled Senator Abdullahi Adamu belong to.
For anybody to come here and go and give press conference and say that the Senate has taken a position against Mr. President, it is the most uncharitable thing anybody can do. It does not befit his office as a senator. But happily enough, Senator Omo Agege came here and had the courage to apologize over that statement. But it's much more than that. There are some sections in this country where you dare not talk against the president. And there are senators from that place. By implication is that he is putting the life of these senators at risk.
A member of this family went to court, maybe in desperation, thinking a drastic action will be taken against him. For me, I will suggest that he withdraws the court action and we don't suspend him. Mr. President, let's focus on making ourselves each other's keeper.
Let Omo Agege withdraw his case from the court. Let those people that form this, whatever name they call it, let them dissolve it. And the president of this country, even if they don't, the president should tell them to dissolve it, because they are his greater enemies than even the people that are not in the in what do you call it, in the group.
There must be discipline. That is the only way where the leader, I agree, there must be. We must show that such group must be suspended. The case in court also must be withdrawn. And in consideration of that, we can look at leniency on what is being recommended. Distinguished colleagues, what that is, I'll put for you to make a recommendation going forward. I think by that we'll have captured one, no more of these kind of groups in this Senate.
You will recall that Senator Omo Agege had at a press conference insisted that a proposed change in the sequence of election is targeted against President Muhammadu Buhari as the 2019 general election approaches. Away from that, Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, AGF, Malami Abubakar, says Nigerian government will do all within its power to ensure a free, fair and credible election ahead of 2019 polls. Malami, who disclosed this in Abuja, said the country is mindful of the implication of a flawed election and is willing to ensure that elections are held in a manner that will not require the intervention of foreign agencies like the International Criminal Court, ICC. Malami also expressed Nigeria's concern over the ICC's decision to continue to entertain 8 cases relating to it and in connection with its handling of the problem of terrorism in the country. Senate President Bukola Saraki says the Senate is committed to implementing the 35% action, which sees the inclusion of women in appointment and elective positions in government. Saraki, who disclosed this when he received the delegation of the Conference of Female Parliamentarians in Algeria at the Senate House, said there is urgent need for a paradigm shift that will give room for women's participation in the country's politics.
I know one of the key issues, of course, is the gender equality bill, that I know you will have had it quicker and faster than this. But I believe when these kind of major issues are being done, sometimes it looks as if it is taking longer than expected. But I believe that at the end of the day, it's the result that matters. And I think it's important that we ensure that every part of the country has that understanding. I always say that in legislation, sometimes, as you all know, you might go in with 10, 15 requests in a bill, but sometimes you negotiate and see, because it doesn't begin and end there. It's something you do in steps and strides. Get where we get to a point, and I think everybody is on board on this issue of gender affirmation of 35%, and we must strive to see that that happens in both in the area of appointment and elective as much as possible.
Responding on this development, a cross-section of women parliamentarians spoke on the importance of the delegation visit to the Senate.
We need greater political will from the policymakers, from the lawmakers, to be able to achieve the 35% affirmative action. And that's why we are here. Politicking has started now. And if we don't come now, before you know it, the men will take all the positions and they will leave us behind. A lot of us have done 3-4 times in the Houses of Assembly. We want to move up to the next level too. Of course. We are great planners, we are great thinkers, we are articulate, we are composed, we are focused, we are mothers. We want to grow Nigerian nation. We are not interested in corruption or destruction. We want to grow Nigerian nation. And that is why the conference of all Nigerian female state parliamentarians are here to let the Senate President know our mind.
We are a very strong group advocating for inclusion of women in elective and appointive positions in the country. You will agree with me that the diminishing effect of women participation in politics is even affecting the growth and development of Nigeria. And until women, there is a deliberate attempt by those policymakers or those who are in charge to make sure that women are given, are allowed, given free hands, free playing ground to contest and win election, and we have equal number of women and men in decision making. We will not improve in this slow space of development of Nigeria.
some female parliamentarians speaking there. Now moving on, the House of Representatives Committee on Emergency and Disaster Preparedness has summoned the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo and the Head of Service of the Federation, Winifred Oyo-Ita, over the suspension of 6 directors of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. The committee also summoned the acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Ibrahim Magu. You will recall that the directors were suspended last week when the House began investigation into the expenditure of 17.8 billion naira by NEMA under the watch of its Director General Mustafa May Haji. The suspended directors are Director of Finance and Accounts, Akimbola Bolaho, Acting Director Special Duties, Umesi Emenike, and Director Risk Reduction, Malam Alasan Nuku. Others are the pilot in charge of Air Ambulance and Aviation Unit, Amaman Ibrahim, the Chief Maintenance Officer, Ganiyu Deji, and the Director of Welfare, Kanar Mohammed. The national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Uche Secondus, has told the international community that the ruling All Progressives Congress APC government and the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, are working to truncate the country's democracy. Uche Secondus disclosed this while playing host to a team of the European Union EU led by Ketil Carlson. Secondus said though the PDP for 16 years nurtured the nation's democracy, indicators on the ground showed the APC and INEC were not preparing to conduct free and credible election in 2019. He said the opposition PDP is concerned at the emerging signs showing that 2019 election might be rigged. He also appealed to the EU and other international partners to keep a watch on Nigeria ahead of the 2019 election and put pressure on the ruling APC government and INEC to conduct free, fair and credible elections. Members of the House of Representatives has condemned the recent robbery attacks in Kwara State, saying the incident was signs that the country's security system is sick. The lawmaker said the situation called for the overhauling of the security system. The House of Representatives, which was presided over by the Speaker Yakubu Dogara, asked the police to investigate the attacks and ensure the prosecution of the suspects. A member of the House from Kwara State, Oluyonu Tokwe, had raised the robbery attacks as a matter of urgent public importance, urging the federal government to beef up security in the entire southern senatorial district in Kwara State. The National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, has appealed to Governor Rotimi Akeredolu to reverse the recent increase in the tuition fees in the state-owned institutions. A NANS National Public Relations Officer, PRO, Bestman Okereafo, said in a statement on Thursday in Enugu that the reversal became necessary in the interest of the teeming indigent students. He said the recent increase in the tuition fees is alarming and beyond the normal situation, adding that the development would be inimical to educational development of the state. Okereafo said that students had been paying between 25,000 naira and 30,000 naira, but noted that the fees had been increased to 120,000 naira and 180,000 naira, respectively, in state-owned institutions. He urged the governor to address the situation in a way that will favor both parties involved. Education in Nigeria is always battered from left and right. If you're just joining us, you're watching Superscreen News at 10. Or we'll take a short break here, and when we return, we'll bring you news from the business world. To stay. Well, it's so glad to have you back now in Business World. The Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, have pledged to strengthen their collaboration to track both individuals and organizations who refuse to pay right taxes. According to a statement by the Head Communications and Servicom Department, FIRS, Wahab Gwadamosi, it said the partnership has led to the recovery of the sum of 29 billion naira withholding a tax from banks and other financial institutions in the country between November 2017 and March 2018. The statement also disclosed that the partnership will also beam a searchlight on defaulting taxpayers who also refuse to embrace the federal government's voluntary assets and income declaration scheme to offset their tax liabilities. Senate President Bukola Saraki says its committees must not continue to hold the country to ransom by their apparent refusal to submit their budget report. This revelation is coming more than 5 months after the 2018 budget was presented to a joint session of the National Assembly by President Muhammadu Buhari. Saraki said he had no option than to open and name the subcommittees to ensure that the needful was done in the interest of the country. He also mandated the committees to ensure that their reports were submitted to the Senate Appropriation Committee before Friday. The National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, says the Nigeria Consumers Price Index, which measures inflation, rose by 13.34% in March 2018. According to reports, the Bureau said the 13.34% rate for March is 0.99 percentage points less than the 14.33% recorded in February. The report also confirmed that March made it the 14 consecutive months the country would be experiencing slowdown in inflation. Reports says Nigeria's debt service cost and refinancing risk will rise with issuance of $2.5 billion Eurobond in the first quarter. Fitch Rating will disclose this, said borrowing in foreign currency in international markets also exposed sovereigns to foreign exchange refinancing risk and a potentially high debt gross domestic. It also said weak public financial management (PFM) could increase the challenge of transitioning from concessional to commercial funding. Still talking business news, Flour Milling Association of Nigeria, FMN, made up of Dangote Flour Mills of Nigeria, Honeywell Flour, Dufil, and Life Flour, have donated 50 units of multi-crop thresher machine worth 70 million naira to wheat farmers in the country. The group managing director of Dangote Flour Mills, Thabo Mabe, who disclosed this at the presentation of the machines in Lagos, said the equipment will deepen mechanized farming and wheat production, increase volume of wheat produced, and reduce cost of wheat in the market. The chairman of Flour Milling Association of Nigeria, John Komateros, who was represented by his group managing director, Flour Mills Nigeria PLC, Paul Bededo, also said the presentation is a demonstration of the association's commitment to continuously support wheat farmers and federal government's agriculture promotion agenda. You're still watching Superscreen News at 10. We'll take a short break here, and when we return, we'll bring you news from the foreign scene and then sports. Join us.